This week in Counter-Strike World News, FaZe Clan takes first at Epicenter in Moscow at the Ice Palace, showing some much-needed signs of life after a string of disappointing finishes. GG's to FaZe, finally getting back up into form. There's also been a number of roster changes from teams such as North, Fnatic, Red Reserve, and Boot Dreamscape. We'll be going through those alterations and what to expect from them moving forward. ESL India Premiership Fall Finals were replayed on Wednesday due to cheats discovered in the ESIC's investigation of Forsaken. Yeah, see that guy in the middle? He was caught cheating at EXTREMESLAND Asia and then found out later that he was caught cheating at that event as well. So we'll go ahead and touch into that. Who were the winners? And just kind of talk a little bit about the cheating game. More cheating drama unraveling. Reports state that there's been a VAC ban wave across China earlier that has wiped hundreds of thousands of dollars in skins and even led to an ex-professional player getting banned. We'll get into some of that later in the show. And last but not least, the Blast Pro Series Copenhagen is getting underway tomorrow. The event features 6 of the best CSGO teams the game has to offer, including Astralis, FaZe, Navi, and MIBR. You are not going to want to miss this. We've got your tournament preview in the chamber at the Reload. What's up, guys? Welcome to the show. My name's Cody Luongo. It's great to have you here. Sorry we're a little behind schedule, but we're live. We're here. We got the studio built out. Little temporary action right now. If you guys notice, the set is just a little bit different, but it's okay. We're going to roll with it. We got our show. We got everything lined up and built out, so we hope you guys have a good time and stay and interact with us because we're live and in the mix right now. But let's go ahead and bring in my guest today because arguably the show would not be anywhere as near interesting as it is without my special guests. So first I want to bring in my colleague at Esports Insider. He is an award-losing journalist per his Twitter bio. But he is also a very talented esports journalist. He's written for a number of blogs and news sources. Let's bring him in. His name is Adam Fitch. What's going on, buddy?
Nolan. How's it going?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Yeah, I'm still a bit sore about losing that award to the other guest as well, actually. But I'll be quiet about that.
That's the kicker. That's the kicker in this. I gotta ask, where's the pink
Why
hat?
would you invite him on?
Where's the pink hat? Man? The signature.
I've had to retire it. There was a serious accident that I can't disclose online, which means it's been retired. So now I'm just rocking New Balance for Alphas. You know, just using that esports money to look a bit cool.
Okay, I dig it. You know, I gotta say you're an inspiration for me. You had this signature. You knew Adam Fitch by the pink hat, right? And now, now I've absorbed what is the headband meta. You know, it's a new meta. Patches are coming out, new updates, new maps. Things are changing. You got to evolve with the times. You got to keep it going, right?
Well, I mean, I'd rather be known for doing decent work than having a pink hat. So, I mean, it's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice I needed to make, unfortunately. Now I've just got to get decent at writing.
I dig. Well, let's go ahead and bring in our next guest. He is the award-winning journalist who actually beat out Adam, not to put that label in. Mr. Michael, got the award.
Wow.
Look at that.
Sorry, I just had to. Good evening, gents.
Duck, how are you, buddy?
Not bad. Not bad at all.
How does it feel to have beaten out Adam in this adventure of world-class journalism?
It's wild. Something I probably shouldn't have gotten, but it was an award I had to joint win with another journalist from another website.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, welcoming Michael Duck Moriarty. He is an editor at North American Counter-Strike news source Dust to Us, and these are both Reload guests in the past. It's been a while since I've had you guys on the show, right?
Yeah.
I thought you didn't like me, to be honest.
I still hate you. I still hate you, to be honest.
That makes sense.
And also one other quick thing to point out is that we are all participating in Movember, and I think right now Adam is that considered a lead? Is the mustache a lead in this?
He didn't shave properly.
Easily.
That's why.
Yeah.
I definitely shaved properly. There was nothing there.
He only cut it up.
And then that's all I can do. I can't wet shave because I'm too sensitive. Like a bunch of people in esports,
Wow.
I'm way too sensitive.
I'll be mindful of what I say to you during this podcast, Adam, if that's the case.
You should.
Well, let's go ahead and get into some of the CS action. It's nice to have the banner in the beginning, and it's nice to have you guys on the show. First up to bat, we had FaZe win in Moscow at Epicenter 2018. they actually stormed through the playoff stages, beating out NIP, Liquid, and Navi most unexpectedly, quite heavy-handedly on their playoff run to first. Nico was awarded the MVP medal with a 1.41 rating. But for me, this was a little surprising because FaZe was looking kind of shaky in the group stage, right? They just beat out ENCE 2-1, and they lost quite harshly to Navi 2-0. So what are you guys thinking? How is FaZe able to go ahead and pull this win off, especially with their recent form? And I'll direct this one to Duck first.
Yeah, it's when I saw it happen, because I was asleep when the game finished, because I've not been great. I saw a result come up on HOTV. I was like, really? It's like they've not won the event since Belo Horizonte back in June, I think.
Quite some time. Yeah,
so,
it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been quite some time. And the events since then, they've literally had either early playoff exits or group stage exits. So it's not exactly a team you look at going like, considering their recent form, going, yeah, they could probably win it. And considering the group stage form they had, with the barely getting past ENCE effectively and the absolute demolition from Navi, it's like, oh, did they just wake up in the playoffs or something? Or did everyone else just underestimate their opponents, which is wild to say about FaZe, considering some of the talent on that roster and the results they had in previous year. But yeah, it's a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, total shocker to me. For me, I was leaning toward Liquid or Navi. It's definitely painful because I like Liquid. I like their story of coming back up through the ranks since they got Taco, and there's been all this like pressure and emphasis sort of feeling on them trying to build up that team, and you keep feeling like this is the one, Liquid. Like you felt that in New York, and then they get beaten out by Mousesports, and now in this scenario get toppled by FaZe. But really, like I guess it just sort of came together, but I wasn't expecting it at all because they just swapped the IGL. Nico taking over Kerrigan's spot.
That's rather telling, isn't it? Don't you think that's rather telling that the stop somebody calling the shots? The shot caller is told, right, you're not calling any more shots, and then suddenly the win. I think there's something there to be taken from it.
They made that change during the major though, or at least just before it.
But so they've had a bit of time to adjust.
Yeah, most likely.
And it is Nico, right? You know what I mean? Like one of the best players in the world. So I don't know. Do you think Nico's going to continue IGLing for FaZe now?
I can't exactly see them making changes in terms of their roster for out of game reasons, and more towards the organization because of certain troubles they've had allegedly in terms of acquiring investment, which is never great. So it's just looking at that, it's like, okay, I can't see them investing in the team at this moment, and I can't see them going back to Carrigan calling. And since Nico's taken over calling, Carrigan has had pretty much a second win in terms of his career, being a mad rifler, which is fantastic to see. But yeah, I think that could stick for a bit because he tried it during Mousesports back when they were having a carousel of changes, and he stood into call.
Okay.
Oh dear. That was FaZe Clan pulling the plug on his router.
They didn't like it. He was dropping too much information.
Troubles? There are no troubles. Gone. He's gone. No. I kind of thought, I don't know anything about that alleged problem at all. But I was kind of thinking, if I was FaZe, I'd be like, right, let's end on a high note. We finally won something. It's taken a while. Let's change something up. But then again, you do have to kind of consider who's going to change and where they're going to get players from. And all of the top teams are likely going to stick with who they've got because it's working out for a lot of them, like the Liquids and everything else. So I don't know. And they're not going to get anyone from OpTic or anything, are they? So
no, I don't think so. I agree with what you're saying though, and also to the ghost of Duck, the ghost of Duck's past, and I don't think it's reasonable for FaZe to make roster changes right now. Like I really don't. They have a proper strong bit of talent in that roster. But okay, I think we're bringing Duck back in, so maybe he can finish. Hey, what's up, Ducky? What happened? Lucky.
My motherboard had a crash. I'm back.
So this happened in the lobby, and you said it happened once every 2 days.
So it's happened twice in space of an hour.
I think you should go buy a lottery ticket.
Sure.
I was just going to say it's a good job this isn't live, because I mean that would be rather embarrassing. But
oh shoot.
Oh dear.
No, I'm with you on that, Duck. I've completely actually lost my train of thought, but I was agreeing with what you were saying. I sort of seemed to lost that thought at the moment. But yeah, FaZe, not making sense to make a roster change, obviously. Nico, he said that he didn't, I believe he said after the major that, or when he had made the change to the IGL position at the major, that he didn't want to continue shot calling, right? He didn't want to be the IGL, but now they've continued to do it and sort things out, and maybe, maybe this is the chance for them to kind of get back into their winning ways, so to speak, right?
Until they get into a tournament with Astralis.
Which is happening tomorrow.
Yes. There you go. And then we'll go back to saying, oh, what's going wrong with this roster? Something's not quite right. They need to make some changes. Obviously, they can't change the roster. Blah, blah, blah. I think it's a flash in the pan, a one-off, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We said pretty much everyone said that about their previous tournament wins in the past year as well. With Sydney and Belo Horizonte. So it's a flash in the pan. It's a one-time thing.
That's the theme of Counter-Strike. And then it crashes, though. That's the theme, dude. It's like Ents or FaZe, like Navi. I mean, I swear to God, it's like these teams win a tournament and there's all this hype around them and expectation, and then they can't keep it up. It takes a really, really good team to win tournaments and events consecutively, right? So I don't I'm actually not convinced in that much in FaZe right now, because I've seen it so much. I watch it happen over and over again. Even we have someone in the chat. Shout out to the chat, keeping it live and alive. Osimo says Kerrigan was in full COD mode. That event. I like that.
Fantastic.
Snapshots, baby. Those snapshots. We're live, by the way. You guys throwing some comments in the Twitch comment, questions, whatever, all that jazz. And we'll get to those. And shout out to JPack Killa, who just hit us with a sub. But moving forward, there was also a number of transfers in the last week, right? Starting with Red Reserve completed their Draken signing. Last week, Red Reserve completed a 2-year signing of the Swedish AWPer. Draken filling the open slot left by Twist, who went over to Fnatic. And he has played with the organization before, so it's a little bit of a trade here, because they picked up Draken, and they had brought Twist and Brolan over to Fnatic's roster. So there is that change. How do you guys think Draken's going to fare over at Red Reserve?
Go on, Ducky.
Well, okay, straight it back at me then. Yeah, I mean, he's not had Fnatic's not had the greatest amount of times when they've decided to cut a player they deem as surplus to requirements or doesn't fit their style now, which is fine. That makes sense, but he wasn't exactly playing at the top level of his game. There was quite as you might have seen back when he was with the Cringe Wars Epsilon team or the Ninja Pyjamas, where he was a solid fragger. Mm-hmm. He seemed to just fall off a bit in Fnatic, which is not great. But since rejoining Red Reserve and in the lovely world of ESEA tournaments and other online tournaments, he's doing fairly all right with his new team, playing with familiar teammates. Albeit even if his team aren't necessarily performing as well as you might expect.
Right.
It's definitely a step down. Red Reserve an MDL team rather than the Pro League team.
Yeah, obviously. What about the move for Fnatic? The right move for them? Brolan and Twist. Had gone from Red Reserve to Fnatic.
Yeah. It's you have to wait and see with them. Will Twist, will he pull his finger out his backside and put the effort in as people have hoped he would many times before? We'll have to wait and see. Brolan, again, another young Swedish player. safe to say it depends on what he might be able to do. He won't necessarily be the same sort of talent as Scream was, unless he is, and I'm just ignorant to Swedish CS. So,
Right. Well, another interesting roster change, definitely one of the more notable ones, was MSL going over to Rogue, right? So North had faced some complications following an unexpectedly early exit in the challenger stage of the London Major. That was right after DreamHack Stockholm, literally just days after beating Navi and Danish rivals Astralis. So obviously there was a lot of hype behind this team. So when they failed to perform at the Major, that hurt them. So North had benched MSL some weeks ago, bringing on ex-Rogue member Cadian and taking over his IGL position, and then MSL would go on to replace Cadian's IGL role at Rogue. So you have sort of an IGL swap here. I think I was a little surprised. I mean, MSL is a super decent player. He was the MVP, I think, of DreamHack Stockholm. You see his highlights right here. He's killing it.
Yeah, he was a great AWPer, but then it just seemed when he got to the Major, his team just fell apart.
Yeah, they absolutely crumbled.
And he also crumbled as well. Like, he wasn't exactly the top performer as he was the event before.
We have just mentioned flash in the pans as well, may I just add?
Yes.
And North winning.
That is the biggest flash in the pan so far this year.
Taking down Astralis,
Yeah.
It seemed like it's more of a one time. That's another example of teams that win, that everyone are suddenly favorites, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like they want team wins once. Why do you think they're going to perform amazingly against the best teams in the fucking world every time? They're not going to, are they? Then they're going to make these small changes. They're not going to climb to the top. It's just, for me, it's just like a non-event. It's just like, right, we'll see in two months' time when they're making another swap, when they're getting a player from OpTic or something, and I'll just say the same thing where I'm like, I'm not really fussed. It's not going to change. They're not going to win again for ages.
I'm inclined to believe you're saying that just because you're an OpTic fanboy.
I'm not an OpTic fanboy. I hate OpTic so much. I hate OpTic. No, I'm just saying, I traded Nico and stuff like that, and Gade is a solid player, but I mean, is he going to propel them and make sure they win again?
Mm-hmm.
I
don't know.
I don't think so.
What are you thinking? Like, again, I'll direct this one to Duck. Do you think this is like, I don't know how to really pose this question. How do you think Rogue is gonna perform with Cadian or MSL? And do you think that this was the right move for North with Cadian?
So I'll start with Kane to North. It makes sense. He's a Danish player going back to a Danish team. It's the first time we've done it in like 2 years, which is the most interesting part of it. He's been out and about with either European international teams or in North America with Rogue. He's a fantastic player and a fantastic IGL. He basically brought Rogue up into what was a fairly dominant team in the minor, ignoring the final. And then they had an attempt at the actual major, but it didn't go through, as we all know. And then this roster changes happened out of both about 2 teams who didn't go through the major. MSL to Rogue, it'll be interesting because will these American players be used to playing in a style that MSL likes, which is everything is scripted down, everything must be this.
Sort of methodical sort of gameplay, right?
With like no gaps to improvise, effectively, in his game plan. Will the American players fit into that structure? History usually declares that it won't, and it might not work, but he might be able to turn them around. They've got Hiko on that team, who's a veteran of Counter-Strike, and he should potentially be able to turn the rest of the players and tell them to listen to him. It's just a matter of time and seeing if it'll work or not.
I guess so. It seems like more of a case of MSL sort of raising the caliber of Rogue, right? Bringing them up, those players up to his standard of play.
Yeah.
But they've already been playing together, correct?
I believe so. In online events,
Uh-huh.
I'll just have to check, but yeah, because I can't always remember these sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's
I'm
just
pretty
not
sure
good
he's been
enough,
playing
mate.
with him online. Sorry, I'm pretty sure he's been playing with him already. Yeah, because he was a straight swap for Crystal, who's gone back to Europe now after having a few
God.
floods with North
He's
America.
all over the shop, isn't he?
Yeah, he had to try at Ghost. They didn't work out, and he's gone back to. He went to Rogue. Now he's back in Europe, teamless, I think.
Good.
They had some good. They had some good. But yeah, there's some good tries with Crystal, but again, it was before MSL came in. They were still mid-table. They're mid-table now. You can't exactly judge it by the first few results in an online league. The same
Right.
with North and Cadian, because the tactics will still be the same as the previous IGL. You'll still be working off of people who don't know how the game works with this new IGL. It's just a matter of time and to basically figure out what to do with their new roster.
Right. I think
that's what these teams have to wait for.
I'll point out that you saved yourself there by saying within the new team, because you're saying they don't know how to play. I thought you were referring to us NA people for a second. I was gonna.
God, I've got to work here. I can't say stuff like
that. That's right. You got dust to us. Shout out.
Yeah.
Moving forward, there was also the ESL India Premiership. Back to that Forsaken drama. See that guy in the middle? Who's that guy? That's Forsaken. And that's them. That's OpTic India winning the ESL India Premiership Fall Finals. So basically the story is that the Esports Integrity Coalition, or ESIC, had done an investigation following all the Forsaken cheating drama, and basically uncovered that he had used cheats at the Premiership Fall Finals, which OpTic India won in mid-October. The match was set to be replayed under the circumstances by 2Easy and Slaughter Rage Army, both teams that OpTic beat on their way to the top in semifinals and grand finals, respectively. 2Easy went on to win by conquering Slaughter Rage 2-0 in an online bout. And interesting enough, so they obviously didn't have the venue to do this, but basically they played from LAN cafes where ESL India sent tournament admins to oversee, obviously, in precautionary measures for any sort of cheating or faulty behavior going on.
I think
yeah,
OpTic knew.
The players?
The two people in charge of the global expansion, so OpTic Global, the initiative, are no longer with Infinite. I think there's a reason for that, because I mean, there's other regions that they're in as well. They're in Southeast Asia. They've got Brazil. They've got Mexico, and they need managing somehow. But the fact that the two people responsible for OpTic India are no longer there. One went before. One's just announced his departure today, but it was obviously a week or two ago. I think that's quite telling.
Who was that one?
I mean, they went through. Who's the person?
Who's the one who just left today? Yeah, I missed this one.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it J-Sal? It's like he called himself Space something or other, but he was he worked underneath Alicus.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's like Jessal. His real name is, or J-Sal or something like that. But yeah, so he announced his departure today. He was like, "I'm always going to be part of the Green Wall, but I've left the Green Wall," which it didn't make too much sense. I think it's quite telling that he's no longer there anyway, when there's still regions that need managing. So I think they knew. And I mean, the rumours and everything have been there for a long time, for 2 years now. And there's quite a bit of evidence, online clips and stuff. And the whole community knew. So at some point, they must have heard something. That's my thoughts on that.
Seeing the report from VP Esports, I'm pretty sure it was stated that the OpTic India manager were aware of his murky past. Like, he'd been investigated before because he had owned a Steam account which had a VAC ban on it. But he managed to convince Ian Smith and the rest of ESIC that he wasn't in control of the account at the time. He had sold it,
which is also illegal, right?
Yeah, it breaks Steam's TOS. So
yeah,
he is banned from taking part in majors because he owned the account. Yeah, so people with that concern don't have it anymore. But the more interesting thing about that entire saga was OpTic just straight up just dropping the entire India project. I've got a feeling with the rest of the infinite money and just the general, oh, we spent far too much and made not enough concerns they have. I've got a feeling the idea of oh, we found an easy excuse to get rid of it, and you might see similar easy excuse to get rid of their other regional projects and
That's
just
a good
like
point.
consolidate into their main brands because they have spent a lot on these.
There's a lot of things to touch on there. I mean, like I don't know. I'm not sure if like the OpTic management really knew, right? Because why would they go ahead and bring on a player that they knew was cheating? I mean, he's
because he hasn't been
bound to
proven
get.
And they're winning a lot.
I don't know.
So
if you managed a team and you had that information or suspicion, would you buy a player?
If I was shady, yeah.
Buy him.
Are you shady?
Well, no, I'm not shady. I'd say if I was a shady person, which I'm not, then yeah, like they did the trials where he said that he didn't cheat, and then they went on and like won everything they were a part of, qualified for all these big events and stuff like that. So they started from the ground up, got up really quickly. Why are you going to change that? Like even if you've been contacted in the meantime saying he's cheating, if you haven't caught him yourself or nobody else has caught him, like maybe do you just brush it under the rug as such? And then do you get found out and do you get fired from Infinite? I don't know, but that's a thing maybe.
Yeah, it's such a really like a convoluted, deep story. It's seeming like when you really pull like start to peel back the layers, so to speak, right, and find out like about the management and his past. Just a terrible situation. I don't want to spend too much time on it because we had a whole episode last week talking about Forsaken, but just a really like shitty situation.
It came at the wrong time for Infinite as well. Like,
say again?
It came at the wrong time for Infinite as well. Yeah. I know they, like OpTic J said that 19 people have been laid off, but I will tell you now, it's the departures, whether they left or they were laid off, it was more like double that overall. So I mean, that's a really bad time for them. And then the India thing comes, and it's just like, right, the easiest thing to do is just get rid.
Right.
Yeah, that's that done now. Now we can just start afresh without the person that we're blaming everything on, and everything will be right as rain.
Yeah, the timing for OpTic couldn't have been any worse, right? Like, just terrible timing. Moving ahead though, and on the cheating note, is I don't know if you guys heard about this news. It was brought to my attention yesterday when the story broke, was that a new private cheat was uncovered, leading to this massive Chinese VAC ban wave. Here's the first documented source, Onapixel. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm getting that one right. But he basically explained that there was a wave of VAC bans making its way across China, freezing pro player streamers and inventories worth well above $100,000. One of the pro players happened to be ex-Tyloo player QZ, who is the brother of current member DD. And basically, it was rumored that the biggest private CSGO cheat was discovered and prompted this wave of bans. And it was, again, thought to be a cheat that many players and streamers used on Smurf accounts, which they banned linked accounts that were under the same Steam authenticator. Have you guys heard of this one?
Yeah, it's an Asian thing, so I haven't really kept too much of an eye on it, but I've seen people mention it in various Discords I'm in. What's wild about it, especially in China, is that this is the sort of thing that goes against your slightly Orwellian credit score, which basically takes into account pretty much everything on your online life, which is scary. So basically, people hit by this may not be able to go to university or college or apply for a mortgage or a loan, or get a job. So this is the sort of stuff that's not great if you're hoping for something that isn't video games, which you probably want to do now, considering you're banned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I had read that too. That basically Chinese CS:GO players register, and probably across more games, I'm sure, as you say. They register using a national ID in what is called a Sesame credit score, which is a funny name, linked to their accounts. And yet, as you said, cheating affects the score and their ability to get loans, mortgages, things of that nature, which is mind-boggling. But focusing more on the cheat, I think it's crazy. You know what? 2 weeks after the Forsaken episode, as we'll refer to it as, that this happens. I mean, do we know anything about the cheat itself, like where it came from? Because the information is pretty limited right now, right?
Yeah. Let me try and find it. I think someone posted about it, Discord in, but yeah. I mean, some of these players banned. So QZ example, they're not VAC bans, they're Overwatch bans. So it's not exactly as high of a thing, but yeah, it's still not great.
It doesn't sound it.
I don't know. I don't see too much about. Apparently, a cheat being detected wasn't heard about, according to some people I know who dabble in Asian Counter-Strike. But it was just a mix of VAC bans and Overwatch bans, which isn't great, especially if you're in a fledgling scene which has already got a few issues around alleged corruption, like China does.
Like if you know it can affect your future, just like, and you're doing something that allows you to click heads a bit better than the next person, then should you be trusted to get a mortgage anyway? Like, you're an umpty. Like, the decision making is all wrong. Like, especially if you're not at like any near pro level or anything like that. If you're just playing casually or with friends or like on a very low level or like online leagues and stuff.
We're talking pubs.
Yeah, a pub, just so you can go 30-2 and look cool to people you don't know online who probably think you're a tosser anyway. It don't make any sense to me whatsoever.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I used to do that. I downloaded an aimbot for like Halo PC when I was like 11. But if you told me, I know, shocking, I know. But if you told me that I wasn't going to be able to buy, get a loan or a car at that age, I probably still would have done it anyway, to be honest, because I was like 11.
Yeah.
So
you're really good about like Beyblade and
see, now it
like
makes sense. Now it makes sense. I still can't get a loan. Next up on the reload, I'm gonna help you improve your credit card score. F that one up nicely. Woo. Well, that's so that very limited details on the Chinese VAC ban wave, as we're calling
Just
it.
Don't cheat. Just don't cheat. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
In anything.
It's not hard not to cheat.
You can't get in trouble that way, can you? If you just play normally. If you're not good, take up the piano or something. Stop playing.
I'm sure the skills translate a little bit.
Yeah, they must. Well, they haven't got the skills in Counter-Strike, have they? That's why they're fucking cheating.
It's easier not to cheat, guys. So again, limited details. We'll follow that story and see more if anything comes of it. Thanks for the clarification on the exact type of bans, Duck. But getting into some more proper current CS action, we have the Blast Pro Series starting tomorrow. It is a 250,000 two-day event in Copenhagen at the Royal Arena. It is interestingly, the format is a single round robin group stage. So meaning the group stage are all best of one games. And the top two teams will advance to grand finals, where it is a best of three. Interesting format, and you have 6 teams there, all top tier teams, minus maybe one. Not going to mention, I'm sure you can guess, but Astralis, FaZe Clan, Cloud9, Navi, MIBR, and Ninjas and Pyjamas. If we can pull up, there you go. Got the teams right there. So this is actually a pretty stacked tournament. It says SK Gaming there.
That's from.
That's
an old graphic.
This is
I mean, the teams are basically the same, but that's the old graphic.
The same.
Ooh.
Huh. That's what happens when you
rush. Is it really a stacked thing? I mean, like 5 of the teams might as well not turn up.
You're basically, yeah, right. If Astralis is there, if you consider SK to be MIBR, that graphic is only 1/6 wrong. I don't know the the conversion on math. If I knew a percentage, I would hit you guys with it. But 16%.
Yeah.
I don't know. So are they using the same teams at every single event to like test the format of the event and like how well they're doing,
No.
if they're making improvements, or is it because nobody else wants to play because Astralis are just going to win and it's a waste of time?
It's because I'm pretty sure refresh of the Astralis are a must because they're the same company. I'm pretty sure Cloud9 and FaZe signed a long-term agreement to play at the Blast circuit, which is pretty much confirmed. I mean, I think most of the teams who've signed an agreement, minus Na'Vi, to play at the Blast circuit, as you can tell from the next event, which is Lisbon in December, has 5 of the same 6 teams. So yeah, it's an interesting format, and it's one that I actually quite like a bit because of how fast it is, and the final being it's all on the same day effectively. Like, it's very interesting, and it also has like 4 of the top 5 best teams in the world. Sorry, Liquid, invited. So yeah, it's always good to have a watch of.
I agree. I like the best of 1 format. I feel like it gives teams, not the favorite in a matchup, a real chance. They just got to come out hot to get up. What are you looking at me like that, Adam?
You like best of 1.
It's a best of 1.
Look.
I do.
You like 4, don't you?
Oh, get out of here, boy.
Always gone for it.
Best of 1?
PUBG is a dead
Best of
game.
1's have a place.
Yeah,
best of 1's have a place, right?
I don't.
Best of 1's have a place.
It makes no sense to me. If you want to maximize the amount of randomness that can happen and like have a new winner, fair enough. But if you want to see who the actual best team there is, then I don't think best of 1's the way to go. Am I wrong?
I mean, you're not necessarily wrong, but it's the format of the event. It's supposed to be a fast, quick talk format that happens in 1 arena day. If you're talking about an event like the Major, then best of 1's, no, they're not good.
Yeah, no,
definitely not.
No.
But events like Blast, yeah, that's fine. Different format, very nice to the calendar.
I like it. It's speedy. You got really good teams: Astralis, Na'Vi, FaZe, NIP, MIBR. These are solid teams that I feel like the best of 1 format's going to make the results more interesting. Better for headlines, right? Better for the reload next week when we report on it and say Cloud9 somehow miraculously won the Blast Pro Circuit.
I'll give you $100 if that happens. I'm just putting out there now. $100 if Cloud9 win.
Better believe I'm going to clip this and put it on our Twitter.
Please do. I already know I've not lost. I already know.
Yeah, that's not happening. Yeah. I mean, having best of 1's in a format with basically every single team there is good. 5 out of 6 teams there are really good.
Yeah.
The randomness factor isn't necessarily. It's not necessarily a random event. Like,
right.
Every team effectively plays these maps because they vetoed them beforehand. They know what they're doing. They're strong on these maps. They have plays that can counteract each other comfortably. Blast is always an interesting event to watch. So yeah, it'll just be interesting to see what European Cloud9 can do this time around.
Anything is an improvement at this point.
Who have they got going? Who have they got playing? So obviously Flusher joined, but who else is?
automatic, Rush, Colden, Flusher, and Kirishima. As a
all right, okay. Okay,
turning up.
Now I'm going to take that back and say they could well win since it's best of 1.
They've had a week's practice, mate. Yeah.
Cloud9, there's no way. There's just no way. I'm not going to entertain that thought. Better team than they were, possibly. Yeah, they've only been with that formation for about a week, but eventually probably a better team than they've been the last several months, right? Hoping.
Yeah.
Here's the hoping.
I mean, it's not like Cloud9 has had a lucky run in any other big tournament recently in another game or anything. So I mean, I don't think it's going to happen again.
We haven't had a stable team for longer than a month at the moment, for a few months now. So
it's been rough times for
that.
Cloud. Here's a good question. So, since I'm sure we're all thinking Astralis is going to walk away with this one, it's their event. They're the best team in the world.
Yes.
They've proven it. Anyone that can challenge them here, you think, in this format, all things considered? The air quality in Copenhagen?
Yeah, like Navi and FaZe can challenge them in a best of one. I imagine.
You're a stickler.
I mean, on a consistent basis, like the chances of it, like the Danes have just shown that they are just better. So like it's going to take something special for me. It's going to take Nico going off, Carrigan going off, something like that for them to kind of dethrone Astralis, and then they won't do it at the next event anyway. Once it goes back to a good old format where it's not best of ones.
Yeah. Like usually I'd say, oh, FaZe could be a challenger, but they've had their one win in for their 4-month spell, so it's not going to be FaZe this time around. If anyone's going to challenge for it, it will be Na'Vi, or it might be MIBR, depending on if they've had a cheeky resurgence in their form.
Yeah,
just depends on that really.
I got a lot of faith in MIBR and their lineup specifically, right? Like the talent, expertise. A lot of them have won majors.
Every single player there's won a major.
Yeah. I feel like it's only a matter of time before MIBR gets there, like gets to where we all think they could be, but I'm not sure if it's here, but it could be. I mean, I'm definitely going Astralis. They're the only team that is consistent, right? You know what I mean? I don't think it's out of the scope, beyond the scope of reality, to think that one of these teams might be able to finish first in this format above Astralis, but it's definitely looked like the Danes are taking this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you'd be a bit silly to say otherwise.
What's that, Adam?
I mean, like, you'd have to be playing devil's advocate to say otherwise because of the form that they've hit this year. Like, it's just it'd be really naive to believe anything else, or like very hopeful or wishful. If you're a Cloud9 fan, then maybe you think, oh, okay, we've got a chance. But I mean, like, if you're looking at it rationally, like, there's no real other option.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm just putting it out in the universe. I'm just putting
That's
it
fine.
out
You can be wrong as much as you want. That's cool.
All right. Well, what do you guys think of doing? Checking out the play of the week this week. You guys on board with
that? Feel free. Yeah, go for it. I'm excited to see what it is.
Well, there's been a ton of amazing Counter-Strike action in the last week. Plenty of solid frags, aces, everything you could think of. We're giving the play of the week to these two gentlemen right here, James and Eric Stromberg. With the Bob Ross left shark combo. Look at these two beauties commentating ECS.
Is that a Vegas Squadron mascot? I see.
He's got... What'd you call?
Nothing, mate. Didn't say anything.
I mean, look at this. I miss Bears. There he is. But I see he's doing well without me. Clearly. The shark outfit is killing it. And James makes a pretty good Bob Ross. I think so. He's he
can rock an afro.
He's a dangerous natural. You know what he should have done? He should have been a bear.
Really? Oh God, yeah.
he's the Bears. I'm gonna call him the shark.
Way too meta.
I wonder if James can actually pick me. That's my question.
He can make good keywords.
Yeah, there you go. Wonder if that translates.
I don't. Is that a euphemism or is that an actual thing? Have you got a keyboard?
He actually makes keyboards. He makes keyboards.
As in musical.
They look nice. Oh, as in actual keyboards. As in computer keyboards.
Okay. Is he not making enough money over it? Let's face it.
Well. Next.
Some dust to us investigative journalism. That's a question that's the only way that's gonna be answered, really.
I mean, the money ain't going to the casters, is it? So where is it going?
I'm not sure. That's right. One real point before we go. Are you referencing the price tag for the Betway chicken at the major?
Well, that was paid for by Betway, but I mean, like the actual casters as well, earning the same or less than a chicken. So I mean, I wonder where the actual money is going. Might be to Bob Ross himself.
Oh, I I was pointing out that FaceIt spent
Mm-hmm.
500 pounds. Here we go. Look at that.
Well, that
We
was
got
Betway
that.
that paid that. It was Betway that paid that.
Allegedly, yeah,
Yeah,
it was
apparently.
face it paid it. It was spent it. Yeah,
500
paid it.
pounds a day.
It's the handler who handles the chicken and the chicken rental fee.
I
Yeah,
I
it's not like
heard.
the chickens are smoking a cigar in between takes.
I
Just
don't
like,
know.
give me my money.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like that chicken has been studying demos, doing analysis work, just like really crunching the numbers, and that's why he's had that price tag. That's what I'm thinking.
It's
Yes.
just like, give me Astralis.
chicken's got better.
Just give me another cigar. Give me Astralis right now, every time. Easy money.
He did a shit job too. He's just running up, just pecking whatever kind of.
50%.
What I mean,
Wasn't
it's
terrible.
a chicken. Is it what you expect from a chicken?
That chicken's
Just
making
a
$100
normal-
grand a year.
There you go. Don't be
He's
too
gonna be
harsh.
100% right.
He's the real winner.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. All right, well, that's gonna do it for this episode of the Reload, guys. Adam, Duck, thank you for joining me, as always. I appreciate it. Hey, and you guys work on those Movember mustaches, all right?
I'll do my best.
Yes.
As long as you promise to invite me onto your Fortnite special, so I can talk about how much I love the game.
When it comes out, when it rolls out, I'll make sure you're there. Special correspondent.
Okay, and I'll be there with my tash then. Deal.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, see you later.
Adios. That'll do it for this episode of The Reload. Thank you guys for watching. As always, huge shout out to Adam and Duck, two of my colleagues at ESI. Great friends, great people, and we hope you enjoyed the show. We go live every Thursday, 2 p.m. Central, with our Counter-Strike broadcast, trying to bring to life the best of the action in competitive Counter-Strike, and also the best of the entertainment that you have available. You know, feel you come for the CS, stay for the action, and hopefully we'll be in our new renovated set next week. Thank you guys for tuning in. My name is Cody Luongo. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter @TheReloadFM, and I will see you next week.